afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles. Jar of Marbles, it is Jar of Marbles. Thank you, Bob. It's all right. So glad that you could all join us today. It's always lovely. I hope that you're having a lovely day. And if you're not, I'm just glad that you can just be with us for a while and just hunker down and just let me and Bob just blether on about whatever it is we're going to blether on about. What are we blethering on about? Well, today I thought we'd talk a little bit about the freedom to fail. Oh, is this going to hurt? No, Bob. How many of us do not try something different for fear of failing? Me. Well, we're not raised with the notion if it doesn't work out, then that's okay. At least you gave it a try. Maybe try again in a different way with a different approach. Laughing at your own mistakes can lengthen your life. Yeah, laughing at your wife's mistakes can shorten your life. Failing is something we don't like to do. Well, I know I don't. Yeah, what's there to enjoy? Well, this week, a few examples have presented themselves and I wanted to share with you why it is actually okay to fail. I'm thinking also about some of my words for the year. Freedom. Freedom is one of my words that I've had, this year, and it's one of them for sure. Freedom! Freedom! The idea of freedom and how it slots into my personal growth and well-being is becoming clearer. I decided to talk specifically around freedom as I learn more about the word and also how it has guided me this year in 2024. Oh, yes. The meaning of words. It all changes as you get older. What a word means in one decade will in all likelihood change in another decade. Yeah, what do you mean? Well, freedom as a teenager meant staying out an hour later. Becoming pregnant and a parent can be a slow loss of freedom. Freedom to sleep in whenever you want, for example. Being a parent gives you the freedom to offer love and care for your child. Maybe you want to do it differently to say how you were raised. Freedom to be engaged in a just cause instead of a lingering sense of frustration and inferiority. Finding freedom in amongst your work life. Your day-to-day is finding who you are. Where do cows go for entertainment? The movies. Thanks for that, Bob. That's all right. Can you make a small difference to another, to yourself, towards a greater outcome? We can be our own prison wardens, can't we? I think we mostly don't realise what a big difference we can make to another in the smallest of ways. It's a jolly good thing to not allowing past experiences to imprison you in frustration and hatred, to free yourself from sadness and the imagined right to be sad and mad for all time is only robbing you of your life and your freedom. Giving up is the only sure way to fail. I love that quote by Gina Showalter. I love that a lot. Oh, Lordy, yes. Hey. Yeah. Hashtag freedom to fail. Why failing can be a good thing. Yeah. It's about letting go of the ideal that we need to achieve perfection to be happy and accepting the reality that we are human and mistakes, errors of judgment, failure will happen. As Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. This is absolutely right. I know, looking back, this has been the case for myself over and over. It can be so much fun trying new things, fair income. We don't have to deny ourselves experiences for fear of failing. It got me thinking about how we hope certain things fail. Surely not. Yeah, or how when in retrospect it can be a huge relief when something one thought was good or something or someone we wanted turns out to be a mega failure, turns out to be a no. Oh, yeah. And a quote from John Wooden, failure isn't fatal, but failure to change might be. And another quote from Ken Robinson, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. Oh, I like it. You like that? Yeah. Saying g'day into... Hold on. Say getting into a relationship with someone who you already know is a bad match for you, but you go ahead anyway. It all falls apart quickly, and in that instance, we can be very glad it failed. Well, hopefully we do. Same goes with planning a holiday in a known troubled country and your flights are cancelled last minute, you break a leg, something happens that just stops you from leaving or from going. Oh, steady on. Yeah, correct. So the country you don't end up going to has even larger problems problems and you could have ended up in a disastrous situation. And that can be a yes, good, that the plans failed. The examples are forever long, and we all know these situations, and they can be complex and almost unbelievable and sometimes funny. It's bollocks. Is it, Bob? Is it? It got me thinking about more thoughts. Yes, Bob. It got me thinking about what is perfection in relation to failing, that we cannot do something unless it's or until it's perfect. And I got thinking about how was perfection's original meaning distorted. From what I was able to find, originally the word perfect meant something finished which had come to an end and lacked nothing. No sting there now. That sounds sensible, reasonable even. It was referring, therefore, to a work carried out completely, that it was completed. Over time, the meaning of the word perfection changed, especially under the influence of the Judeo-Christian religion. Oh, what a surprise! Psychologists from Bath and York St. John universities followed 40,000 university students from the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom for nearly 3 decades. These researchers found that in 1989, only 9% of students reported feeling pressured by society to be perfect. However, in 2017, that figure had doubled to 18%. That means the level of socially prescribed perfectionism is rising dramatically. If that pace is sustained, by 2050, 1 in 3 young people will report clinically relevant levels of that kind of perfectionism. One way to free ourselves from its influence and escape this prophecy is to perhaps understand the historical evolution of the word perfection. Why is Peter Pan always flying? He never lands. It could be said that seeking perfection is not virtuous, but problematic. Sounds right to me. We can hear ourselves or others say, when presenting a case about an outcome, we may say, "Oh, I know it's not perfect," inferring that it's really not good enough, when in all likelihood it is probably good enough and some. And maybe we are looking for some kind and thoughtful feedback in that moment, and as we all know, it usually doesn't come unless you're in the company of a highly developed and kind soul who will catch you in that moment. Oh, that is so true. I know, it's very true. You know, hear a bit of encouragement, and we all need that. Every one of us need that. And talking about failing, sometimes it can be unknown, just that, simply the unknown. I realised I had a strong sense of failing abysmally when I was heading towards my late 50s and then tipped into being 60 and my life and all in it. I was lost. For a time, I felt quite lost. And let me tell you, lost sucks. I know there'll be many of you dwellers out there will be nodding sagely going, yep, we got it. And it does. It just feels utterly awful. Why were you lost? Well, you were there, Bob. I was. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah, but why? We humans, we need direction. And I had lost mine. Again, this is so utterly normal for all of us for various reasons. Life changes, all sorts of things change and happen. And it's going to happen many times, especially if you're growing emotionally and intellectually. Yeah, but, you're really old. I'd like to say I'm aging like fine wine, but in my case, I think it's more like a fine banana. Oh, Godfathers, really? To me, the daily double was prune juice and an enema. I thought that was quite good. So, yeah, we all need direction, and it's nice to know it's bloody normal. How liberating. So much about this life requires normalising. Too many of us don't find out till many years later into our lives that feeling the way we do is absolutely correct. Bang on even. Yes, Bob. But how many of us are offered these truths, these reassurances? I would say not a lot, but I can offer this to you because it is as normal as there are clouds in the sky. It is what it is. Sorry, I can't come today. The clouds aren't in the correct position. Yeah, complete bollocks. And this did teach me to get very real about offering myself compassion. And I love this quote. Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. This by Dennis Waitley. So I decided to start a podcast when I was feeling at my lowest. That's what you do, isn't it? And boy, oh boy, it was me, the blind leading the blind. I had no idea really what I was trying to create in terms of a niche, and it showed me big time. But I did it and literally taught myself on the job. and it shows. But hell, it's a hobby. I love people. I like doing this, and I can only hope that, someone will get something out of it, something good, inspiring, and maybe even a giggle. I do really, 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 really behave myself on this podcast. Oh, I know. Anyone that professes to know me knows that I really am, well, a little bit naughty, but one day, who knows, I might start behaving myself, but not today. And tomorrow doesn't look any good either, actually. Anyway, look, I don't know a lot for sure, but when we humans don't know the answers to things, we fill in the data, don't we? Especially when we're getting no feedback. So as I say to myself, upwards and onwards, every challenge is an opportunity to grow and move forward, embrace the journey. It'll be all over before you know it. Some folk act like they're going to live forever. And let me assure you of this, none of us are getting out alive. And when I started Jar of Marbles, I didn't know whether the podcast was just, going to be just for women. And then I am a sort of an inclusive kind of person, and I didn't want anyone to feel that they couldn't be included. I figured if you enjoyed it, then fab. Did you know that somewhere out there, somebody is thinking of you and the tremendous impact that you've made on their life?
Well, it's not me. I think you're a twat.
Good on you, Bob. Being an older woman, and not necessarily because I'm an older woman.
Okay, I'm confused.
Well, I could only hope that some of the subjects could be for anyone, that they resonated with, that some subjects are for all ages, certain experiences are for everyone. It could happen to anyone at any age or continue to appear for all your life.
Like what, godfathers?
Well, what about fear? Fear is something that will show up in different ways in our life. Stress, concerns, panic attacks, apprehensiveness, dread. Fear is a form of energy. It cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes its form, moving to a higher or lower frequency. By moving in the direction of self-improvement, making a difference, offering service, fear can be transformed into excitement and enthusiasm. So I'm saying that becoming aware of fear and facing it and trying to get rid of it can lead to a positive change in energy frequency.
I actually like that approach.
Yeah, so age does not exclude you. It's what I'm trying to say, Bob.
Yeah, right, I still don't really understand.
Well, you wouldn't. It's never too late to change direction and follow your path, and I'm here to help you to start living the life you really want. So with the podcast, I decided I would just keep going and let it unfold, which it is. This is just what's happening, really. I think it actually still is unfolding.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Failure can be beneficial for our mental health for several reasons. Good old resilience. Experiencing failure can help us build resilience as it teaches us how to adapt and bounce back in the face of adversity.
Let's not forget growth.
Yeah, that's right. Failure provides opportunities for both personal and professional growth. It allows us to learn from our mistakes, gain new perspectives, and develop valuable skills. I remember very early in my work life, we had a fantastic manager who was delighted if someone had made a mistake or a mistake was made or we got a complaint from a client, because she really understood the value of being able to see how we could improve what we're doing. And by getting the complaint or by us making mistakes, it gave us a real opportunity to improve everything. And when I first heard that, it just blew my mind, because prior to that, getting a complaint, that was the worst thing that could happen. But actually, it was just a call to service. So there's humility. Embracing failure fosters humility and a realistic self-perception. It reminds us that we're not infallible and encourages a more balanced self-view, worldview. Reduced fear. Overcoming the fear of failure can liberate us from the anxiety of making mistakes, leading to increased confidence and a greater willingness to take on new challenges. That's so true. Empathy. Witnessing others' failures can cultivate empathy and understanding, as it encourages us to support and relate to others going through similar experiences. Ultimately, embracing failure as a natural part of life can contribute to a healthier mindset.
Very much so.
Greater emotional resilience, as I said. Oh yeah, true. And a more positive approach. So # the freedom to fail. The evolution of the concept of failure. I had a little look at that.
Oh, the evolution, you say?
Well, yeah. Failure, as we understand it today, is a concept that evolved over time, largely influenced by shifts in societal expectations, the rise of merit-based systems and cultural narratives around success. Originally, failure wasn't always viewed negatively. Many ancient societies emphasised perseverance and resilience rather than success in the modern sense. I think a lot of behaviours are inherited, but they don't need to continue.
Hence evolvement.
That's right. The concept of failure began to solidify during the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. As society moved away from rigid class systems, people were judged more on their achievements. So with increased opportunities came increased pressure to succeed, and failure became stigmatised as a personal deficiency rather than just a natural part of the learning process. And that's the thing. Failure is just a natural part of life, a natural part of how we learn. And in the 20th century, the notion of failure was further reinforced by standardised education, economic competition, and the self-help industry, which often frames success as a clear-cut path of achievement. As we all know, that's just bollocks. Consequently, failure shifted from being an unexpected part of growth to being seen as a definitive verdict on one's abilities or character. Despite this, many modern thinkers and movements are redefining failure, emphasising its role in creativity, innovation, and personal development.
You are the artist of your life.
Good-o, Bob. Today, the narrative is slowly shifting back to viewing failure not as the opposite of success, but as a critical and often necessary step in achieving success.
I see people out there climbing mountains, zip lining, and here I am feeling good about myself because I got my leg through my underpants without falling over.
The concept of freedom is to experience outside of our realm of everyday experience. It's about expanding our perception and engaging with life beyond what we already know and are comfortable with. Most of us live in the confines of our daily routines, values, and established patterns.
Hate it when I'm talking to myself and suddenly realise I wasn't listening and then I have to start all over again.
True freedom comes from embracing the unknown, allowing ourselves to go out into uncharted territory, both mentally and physically.
Life's all about how you handle the puddles.
That's right, Bob. It's the permission we grant ourselves to engage in activities, ideas that are unfamiliar or even uncomfortable. So when we step beyond our realm of everything, we challenge our biases, dissolve preconceptions, and build empathy by directly encountering these diverse viewpoints and ways of life ourselves.
I never realised how much I swear until I'm in a situation where I can't. Or I can.
Oh boy, that's so true, Bob. For example, think about travel to a foreign country, learning a new language, or even engaging in deep conversations with people with vastly different backgrounds. These experiences open up new worlds of understanding, shifting our worldview. They transform our inner landscapes, allowing for growth and flexibility. This type of freedom also encompasses exploring new emotional and psychological territories, reading books that present unconventional ideas. Present? I meant to say present, but it came out as present. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. I was waiting.
Oh, you were not. Anyway, reflecting on aspects of ourselves we usually avoid or even trying a creative pursuit we previously felt we had no talent for. But it is about pushing boundaries, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally and spiritually.
I can feel a nap coming on.
Well, off you pop then. By granting ourselves freedom, we become aware that our personal narrative is just one among many and that the world is richer and more nuanced than our singular experience of it. Being kind to ourselves is a transformative practice that goes beyond simply giving ourselves a pass when we make mistakes. It means treating ourselves with the same care and understanding that we would offer a close friend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm stepping back from my position as an adult. Turns out that it just isn't for me, but I would like to thank you for the opportunity.
Many of us are used to being hard on ourselves. I sometimes wonder if we actually really truly realise it, and if we do we actually stop it? Do we actually do something about it? Believing that self-criticism will somehow motivate us to do better. And I think usually it doesn't. It does not.
It does not.
But the truth is, it usually backfires. Instead of inspiring growth, it often leads to feelings of shame and just feeling anxious and perhaps even, stagnant.
Yeah, further to my turning down the position of being an adult, the promises of the position were grossly misrepresented and the negatives were downplayed.
Okay, Bob, got it.
And I'm leaving for Nepal where I intend to spend the rest of my life as a goat.
So, to embrace a new approach without falling back into old habits of self-judgment, start by developing an awareness of your inner dialogue.
That is the best thing you'll ever do.
I know, Bob. Notice when you're being self-critical. Once you've acknowledged this tendency, gently redirect your thoughts to be more compassionate. For example, instead of thinking, I can't believe I messed up again, try saying, well, it's okay. I'm learning. And everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah, true, very true. Still moving to Nepal though.
Additionally, set realistic expectations for yourself. Being hard on yourself often comes from setting unattainable standards.
Yeah, adulthood's a scam. It's adulthood is a scam, I tell